Hi, Austin, Sarah from the upcoming. Such a pleasure to speak to you today. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, good. Thanks for talking to me.
Maybe you can kick off with a brief introduction to skincare for people who haven't had a chance to see it yet. What can they expect?
I Skincare is a movie about a facialist in Hollywood in 2013 whose life starts to unravel when a rival facialist moves in across the way from her. And we her life sort of descends into chaos, and she goes from the sort of beautiful sunny world of Los Angeles beauty into this sort of dark and seedy underbelly of Los Angeles.
Tell us a bit about how the project came about and the fact that, the sort of origins of the story as well. Which parts are true, which parts are fictionalized?
The movie is a work of fiction that's inspired by true events, and the writers brought me this screenplay maybe 5 years ago, and I was immediately so smitten with the atmosphere and the world of it and the way that the chaos in it just built and built and built to this fever pitch. And I loved the character, Hope, who was in the center. And so we started working on it, and we did for many years since then until Elizabeth came on, and then continued to sort of develop it. And we always were really interested in making this sort of sunshine noir set in the beauty world of Hollywood, and making it feel like it was really based in Hollywood, the city, not so much Hollywood, the idea, or Hollywood, the thing that you think of when people say that word, maybe specifically the neighborhood, and all that entails. So that was really our point of departure for telling the story.
And how much of it was sort of rooted in fact, and what sort of creative license did you take in your telling of the story?
Well, I think very early on we decided that this was going to be a work of fiction. I had come from documentaries, and we never wanted to do an act of journalism, and we didn't want to feel constrained by those or make a documentary, and we didn't want to feel sort of constrained by those limitations, and so I think that we sort of just really early on decided this is a movie, and that's what it is, most importantly, and wanted to make something that was inspired by the movies and the books, and the artwork that we love, and pull from all these different references sort of freely. So that's really what we did.
And Elizabeth Banks, I mean, what a force of nature she is as an actress, of course, now as a filmmaker herself. And she just seems to take on this role with absolute relish. At what point did she come on board? And did you have her in mind for playing Hope?
Yeah.
What's your collaboration like?
Yeah, oh my God, we had her in mind since the beginning, since we started writing this script, and it just felt like there was no way that she would ever do it. It was felt like such a pipe dream. And so we sent it to her almost as a gag, because we just thought, okay, let's get her to say no, and then we can move on with our lives and try and find someone else, because she's such a force of nature, and because she's so busy, and she's such an amazing and successful actor, and also a very successful producer and very successful and amazing director, and she's doing all these things, and now she even hosts a game show in the United States, which I really enjoy. We just thought there was just no way that she would do a tiny dark little movie like this, but of course she was really responded to the material and to the script and to the character, and really wanted to play this character. So I was out of town shooting something else. I think I was in Miami, where I was shooting a job there, and we set up a Zoom, and because she had read the script, and so I Zoomed there from my production office, and it was amazing because I quickly realized that she saw the film the same way that I did. It was the same film. We were talking about the same film, and that's what's so crucial, and that was for me the moment that the movie became real. We had great producers and great writers, and we'd all been working together to develop this thing. But once Elizabeth Banks signs on and decides that she wants to be the star of this film, and you can give people the script and say, read it, it's Elizabeth Banks, she's going to play the main part, that sort of changes everything, and that sort of gives people a way to see it in a new way, and a new way for me to see it, and it was so fun in rewrites and prepping to get to imagine her doing the scenes, and then in rehearsal watch her doing the scenes, and then when we're shooting them watch her doing the scenes. It was just great the whole time. So
And I think the other reason she seems perfect for the role is not only just being a talented actress, but the very particular tone that it has, and perhaps from her background, she's done a lot of comedy before. And there are these dark comic aspects to it, and kind of taking a character, sort of she's sort of spiraling, and going down this rabbit hole, if you like. So do you think that was also crucial, having her on board, getting this tone particularly right?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that that's also a bit what I was thinking about or what I was referring to when I say that when she read the script and we realized that we saw the same film, because it was hard to explain initially, it was always very clear to me and the producers and the writers, but not everyone when they read the script would necessarily be able to imagine the film because it is this sort of very specific tone. I think that that's one of the reasons why we always wanted her to play this part because number one, she's insanely talented and one of the best there is, but also she's completely fearless and she will dive into these characters as we've seen her do so many times before and is unafraid and can play these tonal oscillations so well where 1 second it's so agonizing and terrifying and uncomfortable and then the next moment it's hysterical and she can play those so close without losing without ever becoming off balance, and that was critical for this movie to work.
And I loved when you described it earlier as kind of like a sunny noir. And so, in terms of kind of the aesthetic and the world that it's creating and invoking, but also sort of satirizing at the same time, what were kind of your reference points for that? And I was even thinking, I watched The Substance recently, which feels like it kind of has a bit of that aesthetic going on too. So, what were your touch points there?
Yeah, I have not seen The Substance yet, but I cannot wait, and I have heard that it's fantastic. But yeah, there was a lot of, I had a list of films that I shared with all my department heads. Those were sort of references, and we talked a lot about To Die For, the Gus Van Sant film was a real inspiration, and then the sort of work of the Coen brothers and Fargo and stuff we talked a lot about, and this sort of making these sort of anxiety thrillers about these characters who get in too far over their head and can't make the right decisions and you're sort of watching it thinking, oh God, don't do that, please don't do that, and then they do and it becomes all the more thrilling. And so that was sort of, those were a lot of the films we were talking about. And then also, there's all these sort of tropes of noir, and this sort of sunshine noir was how do we sort of invert those and bring the sort of darkness of the seedy underbelly and of Los Angeles sort of out into the daylight, and how does it feel when you're experiencing some of those noir tropes, but you sort of have heat stroke and everything is a little bit weirder and everything is a little bit more on tilt and a little bit harder to make sense of, and I think that that really spoke to sort of those tonal oscillations, is that we knew that we didn't want to make something that was too hard boiled, like so many of those classic noirs are, which I love, but that's just not what this was. It's about the beauty world, and so it had to we had to just let our characters, I think, be themselves and be honest about who they were and sort of free them from the lens of judgment, when we were shooting them and having them play in scenes and just let them sort of be themselves. And you kind of just take that, and sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's scary and sometimes it's really upsetting, and so that was sort of just our approach to it.
And I do love the way it just sort of keeps cranking up and up and up. Did you have a favorite scene to shoot, or when you watch it back now, a favorite one?
I have so many favorite scenes to shoot, I think. But in terms of scenes in the film, when I watch it, I love the scene with Hope and Brett in the car. That's one of my favorite. And watching Elizabeth and Nathan play that together was just unbelievable. They just were so funny, and they're such old friends, and they have such a shorthand and that was Nathan's first scene in the film. So getting him to come out and shoot that scene was just so amazing, and they were just instantly comfortable with each other and instantly unafraid, both of them fearless, to just push the scene into wherever that it felt like going. And then I love the scene where she goes to the sporting goods store and tries to buy a gun, and that scene is one of my favorites. Of course, I love the part in the movie which sort of where the perspective shifts, and we sort of leave her head and go into the more noir kind of God perspective, and we do that through it's almost like a musical interlude through the karaoke into the moment in Jordan's apartment with the Katy Perry song. That is one of my favorite parts of the film. And even now when I sit through, which I don't always do, but when I sit through at a festival or something and I watch that scene, we shot that scene I think the first week. I think that was our first Friday of our first week. And I think Lewis Pullman had maybe 2 more days. And it was such an incredible scene to end your first week with when he's in the Speedo working out and pumping iron. And it was sort of this beautiful reminder of everyone on the set that this was the movie that we were making, and this is the kind of film it is. So then everybody was able to take that with them, I think, into the following weeks of making the film.
And in terms of the takeaways and perhaps the themes that it digs into, and but in this sort of playful way, kind of the anxieties that you might have in a contemporary world, of the reputation, which is one of the things she says at kind of the opening of the film. Your reputation is everything, and in a world where ourselves, are who we are on social media, and that can all turn on a dime. It really sort of makes those manifest, it's been the way it all sort of blows up. And do you think there's something cathartic about people watching someone else go through all that, when actually this is something we could all be suffering with at home as well?
I don't know if it brings catharsis to anyone. It's certainly, I hope that it's stressful. It certainly was stressful for me when I would read it and watch it, and I think that it is, the film is, I think first and foremost, when people watch the film, I want them to have a good time, that's really important to me. And we tried to make something that was really fast, and in the edit, Laura and I kept just saying it has to be faster, it has to be faster, it has to be faster, But I think that, thematically, of course, it's about image and about what you show to the world, and how much we value image, and the image of success. And so often we value the image of success more than we value actual success, and that feels like a more valuable sort of asset, and this movie, I think, is a manifestation of all those things sort of gone totally wrong,
And what has it meant to you having the film playing at London Film Festival?
It's been amazing. It's been so great. We didn't get to do any film festivals in the United States, so because the film had to come out in August, which was fabulous and a really great experience. But you do, my last film premiered at Sundance, my feature doc, and so I was sort of disappointed to miss that experience, because it's so great, especially at an international festival and a festival in Europe, where you get to become and be part of this community of filmmakers from all over the world, and meet and watch each other's films and stuff. And that's such a singular and important and amazing experience that I'm so glad to be here. And I love a great festival in a great city. It's so nice to be in London and get to watch all these films. And I saw Rumors yesterday, which I thought was wonderful. And hopefully I'll get to see a couple more films before I leave, because it's been great. And the audience, we've only done one, but the audience was amazing. So I'm really excited for our next screening.
Did you see any difference in the reaction in the US to a London audience?
It was interesting. It was sort of, I think there's the differences are sort of localized even more specifically. There was differences. We did a week of screenings in LA and a week of screenings in New York, and there was differences in those audiences. I think that there was still sort of laughs and gasps at the same thing. And that's, for me, when I know that it's going well, when people are laughing early enough that I know that they understand that the tone of the movie, that it's okay to laugh at it, and it's okay to laugh at these characters when something's funny. It's okay to laugh when something's funny. And then, of course, the gasps are one of the most fun parts when certain things happen. So, and we got both of those things. So I'm super happy.
Thank you so much for sharing all that with me. Congratulations on the film, and enjoy the rest of your time here in London. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. So nice to talk to you.